Hail and well met. Welcome to the pregame hangout for another episode of Path Arcana. Not everyone is here for Path Arcana tonight. We are doing a little side story while hype continues to build for the finale of Path of the High Priestess. So, I have with me Benjamin and Alexandra, and we are going to tell you a cool little side story to further flesh out, develop the characters, do a little world building, have a little fun, improvise, and maybe not look like we have no idea what we're doing. Anyway, it's going to be great. But before that, we're just going to hang out. We're going to chill for a bit. We were talking about really nasty bugs. Ben just got back from a trip to Bali where he was either stung or bitten or stabbed or possibly just crushed a bug to death, and it is now haunting him. So,
Yeah, it's true. Which we don't need to gross people out with the details, but yes, the point
no,
is that when you go to tropical environments try to like
they
indelibly mark you
yeah,
forever.
they
In
try to
I'll
go to you as well.
yes.
Just a bit.
And
They're ours now.
perhaps that indelible marking is a emotional and mental one, or perhaps it is upon your flesh. You're
There's
choo-
also the theory that Ben was just bitten by a vampire and doesn't really remember. Look at that. Is too little,
I
like a
mean,
really
yeah,
wide mouth vampire.
really,
Anyway,
it's really sloppy of them, though. Normally, they're
yeah.
better about removing the marks.
And it's
maybe this vampire had poor aim. Maybe that's what it
yeah.
was.
I don't know. And it's definitely
Or
not on the place
aim.
where doctors draw blood all the time. So it's definitely not suspicious at all.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, not
going
remotely.
for the underarm artery, right? But getting the the bicep instead, that's just poor aim.
Yeah. And I mean, and this is the age rating of the stream means that we're not talking about femoral arteries. So, we're gonna stick to the elbow. Like,
Right. Exactly. Wow, if he was going for the femoral artery, he had really bad aim. Anyway, so do you have cool stories of being attacked by Mother Nature, Allie?
Uh, Not so much. I mean,
I did say cool there, which kind of eliminates most stories that you could tell, I'm sure.
yeah, like I don't have a ton of cool stories involving being attacked by wildlife.
So on my 10th birthday, see, I this is my transition into the story. On my 10th birthday, I was up in the mountains at my best friend Brian's house with his family, and they have this little cabin up in the mountains. I don't even know where it is. It's just down in California somewhere, miles from civilization, at least an hour from the nearest hospital. Let's just be clear, okay? And we're walking down by the creek, and I decide to climb out onto this log. And when I did so, I stepped down with a crunch onto a hornet's nest. That's right.
Mm.
That's right. I got stung at least 150 times, I think, as I was running through the woods, tearing my shirt off, trying to get rid of these things that were attacking me, screaming. Anyway, so turns out I wasn't allergic to hornets, which is good. Very, very good. But I did take a baking soda bath afterward, which sort of helped a little bit. Anyway, uh, don't mess with nature, and nature won't mess with you. That's the moral.
See, now I want to like bring in the Dune line, but like, what do they say about this place, my lord? Like, when you shower, you scrub your butt with baking soda, my lord. That's what they say about it. Like, I mean, that was your experience, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Good times. Yeah, I
So
don't know. It's amazing. It's amazing how you don't think about nature trying to kill you until nature tries to kill you. And by why I say nature tries to kill you, I mean your own like stupidity as a tourist tries to kill you.
right. Nature trying to kill people tends to be reactive to things that we have done. It's not like nature is busting down your door to try to kill you. Nature is mostly like, hey, we can live in peace. It's fine. Just don't, no, no, don't, no. Oh,
Or it's
I
more like
tried.
nature is like, I see your wisdom score is low. Let me throw some checks at you. Oh, did you roll poorly? Well, that's not my fault. I'm
It
just
makes
nature.
it makes a
You're the
lot of
one with the low
sense.
wisdom.
It makes a lot of sense that survival is a wisdom skill, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So,
it's good times.
going into June, I have heard
Mhm.
that there are a number of very cool things happening in June. I mean, Pride Month happens every year, so happy pre-Pride to you Pride folk. And also, I was going to mention there are a number of video games and movies and stuff coming out.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything that you were looking forward to or you have on your forecast?
Yes, but I'm
Think
gonna let
think
Allie
about
go
that.
first.
Ah,
Oh, come on.
yeah. Let's hear
I
it.
mean, what movies or video games are we
Yes.
talking?
Something that's going to happen in the next month.
In the
That would
next
be
month.
cool. Yeah.
Okay. I I
Or
don't know.
recently. I don't care. Just tell us something.
Like I'm still like I don't know. People are all like all up in the new Zelda game, and I'm here like I still wish I could afford Breath of the Wild. Um, but like most of the games I've been playing lately are stuff I've had for a bit. Like
Hmm.
although I did just finish the current patch content for Final Fantasy 14, and
Ah,
I am
yes.
very pleased with that. It's all void related, so I am just eating all of that up. That like freaking shadow plane demon craziness.
Hmm. Speaking of demons and video games, I'm excited about. So, not to be just a total like Xbox shill, so that my have job security. But there's a game called Eastern Exorcist that just came out on Game Pass that I'm really excited about.
Hmm.
It's like a 2D platformer demon thing, and then there's also another release called Ghost Lore, which is described as a East punk action RPG according to official Xbox media, which confuses me. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming that it's like steampunk, but
Interesting.
made in Asia, which
Hmm.
actually is really interesting because of like the history of, or sorry, not steampunk. Anyway, cyberpunk. It's like cyberpunk, but actually made in Asia, as opposed to having sort of like Western anxieties about Asia represented in cyberpunk. But that's a
Like
whole other discussion that no one asked for. So I'm going to
like
stop there.
like the 80s version of what we were afraid Asian
Mhm.
countries would be like.
You know,
Yeah,
that literally is just what cyberpunk is, honestly.
exactly.
Uh, or a lot of it.
Mm.
Don't get me started on that. Let's change the subject. Actually, speaking of cyberpunk, I'm picking out some new furniture right now, and someone asked me what my aesthetic was that I was going for. And I started with a really bad description, which was like, imagine like Galadriel and Lothlorien, but it's like hyper modern. And then
Mm.
after some back and forth and some showing of some examples, they were like, that looks kind of like cyberpunk. And I was like, yeah, actually, that's what it is. It's like Blade Runner meets Lord of the Rings. That's what I want my aesthetic to be. It's like cyberpunk, but all in like wood and natural materials
This is going to be awesome.
Nice.
and potentially very expensive.
So when exactly are you moving into your new place, Ben?
Um, I am going to do so slowly over the next month.
Mm.
I bought this place faster than I anticipated, and so I've got to overlap with this place I'm currently in. So this might be the last time y'all see this place.
Ah,
But first I have to get internet at the new place, which is kind of a deal. So we'll see. But yes. So yes, uh, cyberpunk, but make it Lord of the Rings is apparently my aesthetic.
neat,
I'll let
neat.
you decide what
All
that
right.
looks
All
like.
right.
Like,
Well, I
I'm
plan to
sorry, go ahead.
have you have me over at some point, so I
Oh
will
yeah,
be
no,
able
that'll
to
happen.
see what it looks like. And
Yeah,
Allie's
well,
going to be living here in the state of Washington soon,
At least
did
for
I
a
miss
bit,
that?
yeah.
like a
Oh,
few
okay.
months from now. For a
Yeah,
bit. Okay,
for a
for a
bit.
bit. Hmm.
Well, I look, look. the exact time scale, I have no freaking idea. It all depends on a lot of factors right now.
It
So
depends on life. Yeah, I know. I get it.
basically,
Anyway,
basically.
Allie's theoretically visiting this summer. So yeah,
Yes,
that would be
I
cool.
will. I will have you over if you wish. Um, you are welcome to come see my I'm someone told me that I'm not allowed to call it my Spire of Sorcery. I'm living in like a high-rise building. And I wanted to call it my Spire of Sorcery, but there's apparently a building in Seattle just called the Spire, because all buildings have to have names for marketing reasons or whatever. And they're like, no, you can't
Ah,
call it Spire of Sorcery because there's already a building called Spire. And I was like, well, shoot. Um, And then I was thinking about maybe like going Shira and calling it like the Crystal Palace, because like her castle was like way up in the clouds and like could only be gotten to by flying on her Pegasus horse.
Hmm.
Um, but all of my straight friends were like, "What? We don't understand. Why are you calling it the Crystal Palace?" And I'm like,
Is that a soccer reference? Because they call it football
yeah,
over there.
yeah. Something. And there is just Tower of Wizardry is an option, except that that's what I called this building, and so I don't know if I can really move the name. That would just be against the rules.
It could be
Shit.
the Tower of Wizardry second edition.
Advanced Tower of Wizardry.
Advanced Tower of Advanced Wizardry. Hmm.
Yes. Or I'll just call it the Host Tower. Host Tower of the Arcane and call it a day.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes. It's like I'm filling it with a bunch of like wood furniture and it's a high rise in the sky. Cool. Host Tower of the Arcane. Done. Sealed. We're into it. I don't know how many
Excellent.
people on the stream know about all of the facts and features of Luskin, but that's what I'm talking about.
So, as I understand it, Ben, you are currently running a D&D campaign set in Luskin. Is that
I
correct?
I am indeed.
In or
yes.
around Luskin, anyway.
Starting in Luskin and then in environs in the spine of the world. The players are currently on their way to the Clothenvale, Clothen, Clothen. I think it's Clothenvale. We're gonna say it's Clothen. Um,
I think
so
it's
we'll
Clawson.
Yeah, there you go. So yes, they are en route to the Clothenvale.
You want to give us all the little brief primer
Oh yeah, sure,
premise
sure.
of what your game's about? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
find this really interesting, and I think you all might as well.
Well,
So,
because you wrote a
I mean,
bunch of
I'm
books
curious.
based on Luskin, yeah. So actually, I don't know if you all know the YouTuber that does like D&D lore stuff called Mr. Rex. But I have found I enjoy his videos, even though a lot of times he's literally just like reading from old source books, but I'm into it. It's a different way to digest like old D&D lore. And he was doing a video about cloth, like the big red dragon, and there was like this thing where it's like, yeah, like literally the only thing that could kill cloth is like mishap, old age, or like disease. And then I immediately was like, well, what would happen like if he actually did just like die of old age up in Clothenvale and nobody knew it? And from there I was like, oh, it would like someone would eventually find out that he's not there and then be like, cool, red dragon horde up for grabs. And then the closest town is Luskin. I was like, cool, we're literally looking at like a San Francisco style like Klondike gold rush situation, but in Luskin. And then a campaign was born. So the whole thing is like Luskin is like a boom town based on like gold rush, as well as some of the stuff on the way there in like the spine of the world. And just everyone is sort of like everyone is freaking out and clamoring for money and position and rebuilding and magic items. And of course, like there's ancient Netherese magic that he has in his horde, which will be a problem when people eventually
mhm.
get their hands on it, and shenanigans will ensue.
Both for the world and for those people.
Yes.
So
Uh,
yeah, yeah, no, it's really interesting. I'm glad it's going well.
and I've been pestering Eric because he has a lot of characters from his novels that are like important to Luskin. And so I'm like, so Eric, let's talk about Lilton and
Oh no.
how he's going to be the father of one of my characters.
Yep. I mean, classic Lilton, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't make Lilton the father of any of the Westgate Irregulars characters.
which is
Not
so
any of the
good.
PCs anyway. No, not Shay. Relax, relax. Now there is a character in the Greater Westgate Irregulars campaign who is a child of Wilton, but I don't know if I ever made that super clear. Well, other than Fane, we know Fane, but there's another
Yeah,
character who
Fane is the
is.
obvious one.
Yeah.
There's another character who is, and I don't know if I made that super clear.
Speaking of which, Fane will feature prominently in my campaign as well because Lilton will have recruited her away from Westgate to Luskin to take over the Coin Spinners, which is the Church of Tamora
Hmm.
slash Bashaba in Luskin, and he did it anyway. It's a whole thing.
Nice.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun. We'll see how it plays out. I think my favorite thing is that one of my players decided that he wanted his mother to be a night hag, and so he's like a wild magic sorcerer as a result. And I like we really riffed on it, and basically he's like, I want her to be a night hag, but I don't want her to be like monstrously ugly and like inherently evil. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, we're gonna explore this. We're gonna figure out how to make this work. And it ended up with basically a night hag coven, which is basically the Golden Girls minus Sophia. And I'm into it. I'm so into it. And his
Minus
mother is
Sophia plus dark magic. Well, okay, just minus Sophia then. Anyway, yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
his backstory is that he accidentally kills Sophia with one of the other players, and that's part of like their backstory. But his mother is actually into it because Sophia was like straight up original evil, and she was like, cool, now I can be my sort of like weird, twisted version of good self.
Hmm. Hmm. It's very interesting, very compelling.
I'm
Nice.
into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the most realmsy thing I'm doing myself right now is I'm kind of running a like very simplified play by post kind of isekai thing inspired by the isekai we've been doing on stream,
Oh boy.
set in Waterdeep. Um, that I'm running for one of my partners, and so like it's basically like a few members of the extended polycule, but it's like four of us, and it's not like we're not even really doing mechanics at this point. It's just very light RP, but yeah, it's in Waterdeep. I let everybody like they get dumped into the realms, but I let them pick like it's like if you got transformed into some other fantasy race, what would it be? You could pick like, but somehow in the transition you get transformed. So
Mm.
that's been a lot of fun uh as the characters navigate their way around, and I since it's just really like light, I've been playing a version of myself as well, and so everyone's just like looking to my character as the font of lore and history in the game so far. It's like, wait, what does this mean? It's like, okay, exposition dump time.
Nice. Like I have to say, like I always get thrown every time I hear isekai because I just think izakaya, which I know is a completely different word,
It
but
Mhm.
is.
both words are Japanese and have a very phonetically similar beginning. And so I'm like, so we're having delicious tapas? I'm confused.
There could be tapas.
There could be tapas.
I recently had some fun at my own expense by having the characters encounter my character, my who was mostly an NPC from the Westgate Irregulars. So Shay, post Westgate Irregulars campaign has
See, and we
shown
gotta
up.
we gotta be clear about whether you mean your character Shay or your character you in the realms, who is also in the realms because
I
of our
thought
Isekai
about
realms game.
I thought about doing that, but I was like, that gets like that's an explanation I don't want to have to try to make as to why there's two versions of me running around.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like how do you get isekai into the same world twice?
Mm.
Wait, like Allie, like you as Allie exist in the realms?
In the isekai
I
that we've been
mean,
doing
she
on the stream.
does. So
Okay.
do I, as myself,
Mhm.
sort
Really?
of.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
Yes.
this.
we've been playing an isekai what's called isekai realms, where it's literally the group of us were dumped into the realms as ourselves using second edition D&D rules. And I turned into an elf. Later I turned into an elf. Um,
A bit
uh,
a bit on the tall Amazonian elf side, but yes.
I'm actually like I've said this like 3 times at least, that I'm going to try to adjust that as soon
Okay.
as I get a chance to sleep.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
no,
Chris will let you do that. No worries.
it was revealed the first time we actually got a chance to rest that I have a weird shadowy presence in my mind that apparently helped me unlock the ability to alter my physical form when I sleep. So I decided to become an elf. I just went on a little on the tall side and accidentally made myself look very, 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 very similar to a certain fox at Twilight.
It's true. So
I
Nice.
so
Not
this
my
is
intent.
I don't want to spoil this for you, Ben, because like we've recorded and posted some of the episodes, but we've only recorded some of the others
Mhm.
that haven't been posted yet, but they're going to be at some point. But basically, the way it went down was the DM says, who is not me, by the way, I'm not DMing this game, says, "So, Allie, how beautiful do you want to be?"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
she's like, "Well," and the rest of us are like, and
yeah.
he
Well,
says,
so
"Do you want to be
uh,
like unearthly beautiful? So you just kill
no,
every man
no,
who
no, no,
looks on
no,
you?"
no,
And
no.
you're like, "No, no, no,
Okay,
no, no,
his
no, no."
phrasing was his phrasing was specifically when he asked how beautiful, he said beautiful enough to stop a man's heart. And I'm thinking, that sounds like some monkey paw shit right there. So I'm gonna be like, let's scale that back a bit.
Also, why just
So,
the men?
so now, really, like really,
Exactly.
exactly. So now,
Especially considering Fox of Twilight. Let's just talk
Yeah.
about that.
yeah,
Well, I mean, that would have been Shield Meet 1372 is known in Westgate as the day of the Great Death because that's you woke up Shield Meet 1372 and you just killed at least half the people who looked at you,
yeah, that would have
at
been bad.
least.
That would have been bad. So now I'm just highly distracting. Is
So would
apparently
that
what we've
make your
settled on.
character like a chosen of Soon?
You know
Like
what?
if
I
you could
have no
literally
idea.
kill with how beautiful you are, does that make you either like a chosen of Soon, or does that make you like the deep, like most, like very enemy of like
That
followers of
that
Soon?
would
I
be
mean, I
really
can't
interesting
decide.
if we encountered some clerics of Sune. What would they do? Would they be like, "It's a sign. It's a sign. You
Right?
are touched by the goddess.
I feel like though,
You must join
literally,
us." And
I'm glad I scaled it back, but apparently, really, the only real major noticeable differences between myself and Twilight would be that I have purple eyes and I'm slightly too tall. And the tall is going to be changing soon.
I mean, you're
So,
not slightly too tall. You're just taller than she is, and she's not very tall.
fair.
You know,
Uh,
she's like what, 5'4" or something?
yeah, but 5'4" is about like the max generally for a moon elf.
I,
I
I'm gonna look it up.
But
I just
look,
want to go back to where you all
this is what
fell
people
into the
keep telling me.
realms.
Look, we don't know how. Eric thinks that uh the DM for our game did it to us because
Well, because
apparently,
he is also in the realms. He, as himself, is in the realms, and he has become a powerful wizard
See,
elsewhere
this
in the
is the part.
realms.
This is the part I'm stuck on because
Mhm.
speaking of that YouTuber I was talking about, Mr. Rex, he's covering sort of like ancient history of the realms right now, and I always knew that the realms had Egyptian and Mesopotamian deities like canon in the realms, but I always thought that they were like someone somewhere was just like, yeah, we're just going to lift and shift these gods and we're not going to explain it.
so
No, turns
yeah.
out there's canon history about why there are earth
Mm-hmm.
deities in the realms, and it has to do with portal magic between planes. And
Yeah,
someone literally took a bunch of humans as slaves, and
It's
those
just some
humans brought
Stargate
their,
shit. Yeah,
from Earth.
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I had no idea that that is actually the canon explanation of why the Egyptian and
Yeah.
Mesopotamian deities are in the realms. And so cool. I guess that you all are like, is that why you all are there? Is that it's just more of this like
We don't
planes
know yet.
portal shenanigans?
We woke up in a field. We have no idea. All right, we got 5 minutes to start, so we should probably wrap that.
All right, yeah, time to go to our commercial, but we will be back and ready to game in just a couple minutes, so don't go away.